Emily sat slouched in a corner chair near gate 12, her coffee lukewarm in her hands, her eyes heavy with exhaustion. The airport buzzed with holiday tension, delayed flights, crying children, and travelers desperate to get home. Emily had spent the past 3 days in back-to-back meetings, and all she wanted now was to see her daughter perform in the Christmas play at school. Her boarding pass rested on her lap, but her mind drifted home. Suddenly, voices at the gate counter grew louder. A young man in military uniform stood at the desk, explaining urgently that he needed to get on the flight. He was trying to surprise his mother, he hadn't seen her in 2 years. The gate agent shook her head, apologizing. The flight was overbooked. No more seats. People looked away. No one moved. Emily stood up. "Give him my seat," she said, holding out her boarding pass. The soldier turned, stunned. "Ma'am, you don't have to." Emily gave a tired but warm smile. "Go see your mom. I'll catch the next flight." For a moment, silence fell around them. Then the clerk nodded, processing the change. The soldier thanked her over and over, his voice thick with emotion. Emily simply waved him off. "Tell her Merry Christmas from me," she said. As she watched him board, her heart felt lighter. She didn't know that one small act of kindness would soon become the very thing that saved her own life. The airport had thinned out by the time Emily boarded her new flight. It was nearly midnight, and the air outside the terminal was heavy with fog. The connecting plane was smaller, quieter, its cabin dimly lit as weary passengers settled into their seats. Emily tucked herself into a window seat near the back, her carry-on beneath her feet and her coat wrapped tightly around her. Beside her, an elderly woman offered a polite smile before closing her eyes to rest. Emily leaned her head against the cold glass, replaying her daughter's last voicemail. "Mom, don't miss my play this time." She sighed, guilt creeping in again. She had done the right thing giving up her seat, hadn't she? The soldier needed it more. She believed that. Still, she longed to be home. The seatbelt sign dinged off, and the plane rose steadily into the night sky. For a while, everything was calm, just the quiet hum of the engines and the occasional cough or shifting of passengers. But an hour into the flight, the calm shattered. Without warning, turbulence rocked the aircraft. The plane dipped suddenly, and passengers gasped as drinks spilled and overhead bins rattled. Then came a violent jolt, more severe this time. Oxygen masks dropped with a mechanical hiss. Lights flickered. Panic broke out. Emily clutched the armrest, heart pounding. The elderly woman beside her was crying. Emily tried to stay calm, but deep inside, fear surged. She didn't know it yet, but help was already on that very plane, and fate was circling back. The plane lurched again, this time harder, so hard that a suitcase tumbled from an overhead bin and crashed onto Emily's leg. She screamed in pain, pinned against the seat in front of her. Around her, chaos erupted. People were shouting, crying, struggling with their oxygen masks. The cabin tilted slightly as the pilot's voice crackled over the intercom, urging passengers to brace for an emergency landing. Emily's breath came in short, panicked gasps. Her leg throbbed, and she couldn't move. The elderly woman beside her had fainted, her mask slipping from her face. The air felt thinner. Emily tried to reach for the woman, but her body wouldn't cooperate. She was trapped. Just as her vision began to blur and her chest tightened, a hand grabbed her shoulder, a firm, steady hand. It was him. The same soldier she had given her seat to just hours earlier, now wearing jeans and a hoodie, his military bearing still unmistakable. His eyes locked on hers. "I've got you," he said. In one swift motion, he pulled the luggage off her leg, helped her adjust her mask, and leaned over to shield her with his body as the plane began its final, shaky descent. The engines whined. The lights flickered. Emily clutched his arm like a lifeline. "You saved me once," he whispered, voice calm despite the fear around them. Now it's my turn. In that terrifying moment, the kindness she had offered a stranger came rushing back, stronger, fiercer, and exactly when she needed it most. The first rays of morning light broke over the snowy field where the wreckage lay scattered, smoke curling into the cold air. Emergency vehicles lined the perimeter, their flashing lights painting the frosty landscape in red and blue. Medics moved swiftly, tending to survivors wrapped in foil blankets, their faces pale and shaken. Emily sat on the edge of a stretcher, shivering beneath a thick blanket, a small cut on her forehead and her leg tightly bandaged. Her ears still rang from the impact, and her hands wouldn't stop trembling. But she was alive. Miraculously, she was alive. Across from her, the soldier, Liam, stood speaking quietly with a paramedic. His hoodie was torn, a gash bleeding on his arm, but his posture was steady, grounded. As soon as he spotted Emily, he walked over and crouched beside her. "You made it," he said softly, offering a smile. Emily looked at him, still dazed, her voice barely above a whisper. "You were on this flight." He chuckled lightly. "Switched at the last minute. Yours was delayed, remember? Thought I'd get home faster." She stared at him, stunned by the coincidence, or maybe something more. "I don't even know your name," she said. "Liam," he replied. "And I know yours. Emily, right?" She nodded, her throat tightening. "I gave you my seat, and you saved my life." Liam gently patted her shoulder. "Looks like kindness comes full circle." In that moment, surrounded by wreckage and frost, two strangers realized they had become each other's miracle. The hospital room was quiet, filled with soft morning light streaming through the window. A vase of fresh flowers sat on the bedside table, alongside a handwritten card that read, "To the bravest woman I know." Emily lay propped up with pillows, her leg in a cast, her head bandaged but healing. Despite the physical pain, her heart felt strangely full, grateful, grounded, alive. There was a knock at the door. It opened slowly, and Liam stepped in, now in a clean shirt and jeans, a small smile on his face. In his hands, he held a crayon drawing from his niece, a childlike picture of a woman with a cape, labeled Hero. "I brought backup," he joked, handing it to her. Emily laughed softly, touched beyond words. "She thinks I'm the hero." "You gave your seat to someone you didn't know," he replied. "You missed your daughter's play for it. That's something a hero would do." They sat together for a while, talking not just about the crash but about life, his deployments, her daughter, the strange way fate had pulled their paths together. What began as a fleeting moment in an airport had grown into a bond that neither of them could explain but both deeply felt. Before leaving, Liam paused at the door. "You saved my holiday," he said. "I'm just glad I could save yours too." Emily smiled, eyes glistening. Sometimes, one act of kindness really does change everything. And in their case, it had changed two lives forever.